You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What type of role do you think Ilias could have on this team? Because he's the one that the fan base is interested in seeing because of his European success that he had. What type of player is he, and how has he adjusted to college basketball?
Well, the first thing about Ilias is he's a basketball player. Second to only faith, family, and some academic responsibilities. Basketball is who he is. No different than Eduardo Klaffki. I was thinking about Klaffki a lot this morning in film session work with our coaching staff. So Ilias is a basketball guy. It's important to him. He doesn't have a backup plan. It's not, hey, if things don't go well at Ole Miss, I'm going to go to accounting school. That's not the deal. So he has that desire to be great. He has that addiction to basketball that we're looking for, like many of our other players. I mentioned Klaffki. Specifically as a player, he's experienced. He's a mature guy, doesn't get too high or too low. And then on the basketball floor, he has some unique skills. He's an elite passer with his vision and his IQ and his willingness to get other people involved. But he's more than capable of scoring the ball as well. And then what we're trying to tap into on the defensive side of the ball, college basketball defense is significantly different than European defense. And so trying to get Elias to understand what translates, what doesn't, and just trying to get him up to par as quick as possible. One example would be officiating. The game's officiated completely different in college basketball than it is in Europe. And so just educating Elias on a short curve here to make sure, we put him in a position to be successful when the season starts.
Do you anticipate a big surprise whenever the season gets underway? Is there somebody that you're expecting to take a jump that maybe nobody's talking about?
I think several of our guys are in that category. And I mentioned depth earlier. It's one of the positives we have going around here is our practices are very competitive. On any given day, a player kind of establishes himself as a guy that, hey, man, this guy's going to be in the rotation. And so the competitiveness is good. I think as long as our culture stays intact and we're playing for the guy next to us and we understand we're trying to win a championship here, that depth could be a real ally, a real asset to us. In terms of specific surprises, I think, I'll answer the question. I think our freshmen all have a chance to contribute. Patton's a guy that can really score the basketball. Tylis is a skilled guy. It's just two examples. I could give many others. With our returners, I think every guy's got a chance to improve. And so when you think about Dia and Klaffki being good players last year, both those guys have a chance to improve. And so it's exciting when you think about that. We've also got some guys that maybe can expand their games. James was a really, really good player at Louisville. Corey Chess got a lot of good things done at LSU. Kez was one of the best players in his conference at High Point, and I can keep going down the line. But the exciting thing from our point of view is those guys can get better. They can not only duplicate what they've done in the past, but they've got a ceiling of improvement. So I don't know if those are surprises, but that's where a lot of the internal optimism around here comes from.
You mentioned Eduardo Klaffki, and last year, the way it came across from the outside looking in, that occasionally there was confidence stuff offensively, but he played through it and kept getting minutes and made a big 3-point shot against Arkansas. How do you handle a situation to where maybe things aren't going exactly right? What's the balance that you get between, I don't know, figuring out something and loving up a player, so to speak?
Yeah. So Klaffki, this is documented. Like, this is true. Like last year in the SEC, 16 teams. There's only a dozen, maybe 11, freshmen that played in our league, that played in every half, that were part of the rotation. And Klaffki was one of those guys. And so it starts by just recognizing that he had a special freshman year. The Klaffki that I know, confidence was never an issue. Confidence comes through preparation and work. I think Klaffki just did a great job as a young guy on a veteran team, fitting in where he could to help the team. And we had a lot of trust in him. I mean, many nights he's in the game late. He's a guy we trusted. And so he did a great job, not good, great, A+. Now the next step for Klaffki is a different opportunity, and that's what he's working towards. And we want him to earn that. We can't give it to him; he's got to earn it. But he understands that. So, yeah, when I think back on my career, which I don't often, but from time to time when we're recruiting freshmen, we'll have to tell some stories about our freshmen over the years. And Klaffki is one of the first I think about. I mean, here's a guy that came in and got himself in the rotation and played meaningful minutes in big games, all the way to the Sweet 16. Now we're all pulling for Klaffki around here to take it to the next level, and I'm confident he will.
Yeah, I think we all are pretty confident he will. I'm just excited to see exactly what the next step in his growth, because honestly, the fans that are watching the game probably don't know his game. They haven't seen the fully formed version of that game, and we're probably pretty excited to see that moving forward. So, Coach, you mentioned the freshman class that are coming in, Patton Pinkins, who I believe his dad is an assistant coach on the staff. Tyler Jordan, those guys. You mentioned the scoring the basketball. My question that I would have going into this season, 2 years ago, you had a very offensive team, and you said that this year has a chance to be a very defensive team. Is it a melding of both of those things with the scoring potential that you have on this roster?
Yeah, it needs to be both. Back to football, complementary football. Your offense has to help your defense. Your defense has to help your offense. Your defense has to be your identity if you want to win a championship. Because to win 6 games in 3 weekends, it's never been done where there's 6 A-plus offensive games. Your defense is what anchors it. In our league, you better be hard to score against. You better have a defensive identity to be competitive in the SEC. Offense, it varies from year to year. This year's team is going to be based on our talent. It's going to be based on these guys learning how to play together, sharing the ball, trying to get great shots every time down the floor, trying to get to the free throw line. It's a work in progress. I would confidently tell you our offense is probably going to look a little bit better in February than it does on opening night. But it's just the non-negotiables. If we can have ball security and share the ball and understand shot selection, if we can put our best scorers in space for them to kind of do their thing, that's kind of what we're trying to strive offensively, but our defense has to help our offense. If it takes 80 points to win an SEC game, you better get at least 25% of that off your defense, or it's just really, really difficult to find a way to win.
All right. Special thanks to Chris Beard for coming on. Reminder that full interview is going to air this afternoon, so pay attention to the YouTube page for that. You can also catch it on wherever you listen to podcasts, so check that out. Chris Beard, about 30 minutes. It'll be pretty awesome. Anyway, thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss, honestly. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it's totally free. Your support means the world to us. In another big moment for Locked On, college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation along two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local expert. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. Remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.